All right. It's time to hear life coach Sean's opinion.
Dude, it's like, I'm like, what do you want? They got like a checkbox, like, are you gonna pick me up? Are you gonna walk on the outside of the sidewalk? Are you gonna open the door? Are you gonna pull out the seat? Are you gonna pay for the meal? Are you gonna be interesting during the dinner? Are you gonna be funny during the dinner? And then when you walk home, are you gonna drop me off? Are you gonna watch me walk inside? And then are you gonna text me after? And it's like trying to defuse a bomb. Like if you
So as you heard, this man is complaining that first dates are hard because women expect you to pull out the chair for them, pick them up for dates, pay for dinner. If there's oncoming traffic, they expect you to let them walk on the inside. These are basic things. This man is acting like he's blowing a bag on a woman, like he's bought her a brand new designer bag.
Okay, so you can see the narrative spinning immediately, right? To start, she said he was complaining. So that's her first way of planting the seed for her narrative. The second way is saying, oh, this is all basic stuff. So now we get into the entitlement side of things, okay? And I think this is the classic thing, once again, where a lot of girls, they feel entitled to this, but what is their behavior? Because I can understand that girls were entitled. Well, first off, I don't really believe in entitlement in general, but I understand the old school standard 100 years ago that this would be what you would do as a guy. But the woman of that era and the woman of today's era, entirely different. And I'm sure she'll point that out pretty quickly here. So let's see.
Bag to the date, or she's asking for $1,000. Like, the stuff that he's asking for are basics in dating, basic gentleman behavior. But I think men who think that the bare minimum should be applauded and rewarded is insane to me. First dates are only...
I'm special, I'm special, I'm special. This is basic stuff. If you can't even do this bare minimum thing for me, then there's no point. Once again, question, what do you do for him other than just existing? What do you do? What's so special about you? Please tell me.
Hard when you're not a decent person and you're pretending to be for the hours on that date. Because what is so above and beyond about you pulling out a chair for a woman?
Well, because it sets the idea that now as a guy, I have to be submissive to you because that's how you're framing it. So I don't have a problem with chivalry at all. I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. The demand of chivalry is very different than courtship. Okay, so when you start demanding chivalry, now it's you're making a demand that I must fulfill. And I simply won't do that out of principle. I just won't, because now it's not me doing it because I want to do it for you in a gentlemanly way. I'm doing it now because you've given me an instruction to do so, and that the framing of that is entirely different. Okay? Before you would do it as a friendly gesture. Now girls take this as a form of submission. This guy must do this for me. Okay, so now it becomes this thing where now you're telling him what to do like a little doggy, right? And any guy with any sense of masculinity is going to say, nah, I'm not going to do this. I actually believe in the opposite. How is she going to respond when I don't do this? Because in this case, at least then you get a gauge, oh, this girl's not entitled. And in my opinion, in the modern era, pretty much most girls are entitled in some way. The ones that aren't, though, are going to be much better long-term partners anyways. So in my opinion, I would argue always start non-chivalrous at the beginning and then amp up the chivalry as you see her reaction to you not being this way. And it's just typical stuff, guys. I mean, I've talked to a number of girls, of course. Whenever a girl comes out and starts demanding her standards, like, oh, you must do this, and I believe in flowers, and I believe in this, and I believe in that, it's like, okay, I get that you're trying to set the standard, I guess, but when you do this, you're already saying, by the way, you must do this for me or there will be nothing. And I just find that to be problematic because now you're already putting rules on the relationship which I must fulfill. And I simply don't believe this is even close to the way it should be at all. Okay? It's not natural. It's fake. It sets a false precedent. It makes the girl feel like now she's the only special one. And also, let's not forget, right? These same types of women that say all these things, most of the time offer very, very little, right? They offer very little in exchange. It's like a cheap, broke businessman, right? Where they're always trying to nickel and dime you for that 5 cents, even though their product is not that great. So they're not really trying to sell you on genuine value. They're trying to extract as much from you while giving you the least. And when you enter into a relationship with this sort of foundation, if you will, always ends up with problems. So it is what it is. Let's finish off this video.
Holding a door open for a woman. Like, what is wrong with these men? Like, who raised y'all? You don't get brownie points for doing basic things that most decent men already do.
I hate being this guy. I can't stand it, but I have to because whenever girls throw something out there, I have to be logical and respond, even though I think it's really classless. And I don't want you guys to ever do this in your interactions with women. For example, when a girl starts laying out her standards, being like, what do you bring to the table? Never do this, guys. You're just going to get labeled as one of those guys that's insecure or some, whatever that modern movement is called, the drizzle thing, you know, where guys are trying to retaliate to women. I think it's called soft boy era. That's what it's called. The soft boy era. I don't really believe in all this shit. I understand the argument for it. I understand why guys feel like they can do this now. Totally get it. I am never going to advocate for this though, because I still think this is a weak mindset to have. But at the same time, for science purposes, I do have to ask, right? What does this girl bring that is so special that she deserves all of this treatment? I just think that girls are playing this completely wrong. I think girls need to do a better job of entering in good faith. Okay, you guys have so many options, and a lot of girls will pretend like, oh, I have options, but none of them are good. It doesn't matter. You're still littered with options. So you're in the power position, right? So it's very easy for you to act in an arrogant way towards men and expect them to do things. But I think if you genuinely want to get to know somebody, going in with a bunch of entitlements is always going to be problematic every single time. So I think your best bet is to walk in, be genuine, be down to earth, and let the guy develop before you start to make a bunch of assumptions about his character. And if you see in the first few dates that he's not one of those guys that's generous or giving or wants the best for you, then don't see him again. But don't walk in with these expectations, because all the guy's going to do, if he's a weaker guy, is he's going to submit to your standards, and you're going to feel like, oh, this guy's doing what I want. This is exactly good for me long term. And in the end, it always ends up in wreck because you don't actually want that. You just think you want that. So it is what it is, though. This is a typical unenlightened approach of many women that don't really understand the guy's perspective ever. And they're going to keep on pushing how the girl's perspective is so difficult and tough. And anyone that takes an objective approach to this understands that it's multifaceted and not quite as simple as this girl's making it out to be. If you haven't joined my free Discord yet, you should. In there, you can interact with me and you can post videos in the content request channel for me to react to.